know.
MongoSlade. MongoSlade. MongoSlade.
Super Tuesday episode of AEW Dynamite, or what they call it, Title Tuesday. So let's talk about this, man. This show was 2 hours and 40 minutes, essentially. They did a 30-minute buy-in. Then they did a 10-minute overrun. So now the buy-in technically was part of the show, but it wasn't part of the show because it wasn't shown on TBS. It was shown on YouTube. I'm going to count it as part of the show because I actually watched it. At least I watched the match that was on it. And this show felt like a regular episode of Dynamite, but I will appreciate that they did put on better matches here. This show was infinitely easier to review because there's a little that happened. You know, there was stuff happening, but it felt like nothing happened. Like if you didn't watch this show, you didn't miss anything, really. Maybe you feel like you missed something if you're a super AEW fan, but if you're not, then you probably just didn't think this mattered that much. I'll say this. I put out a video basically saying that AEW being cold is an understatement. And that I put out some of the things. I was kind of rambling in the video a little bit. I probably should have structured my argument a little bit better. But what I was trying to say is one of the things that I said is that AEW has to stop going towards a niche audience. That they need to go a little bit more mainstream. Shortly after I listened to the video again, that's how I figured out I was rambling. They announced Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki on the buy-in. And I literally just said, stop doing this. You know, like I literally said, stop doing this. Stop. This is not going to get anybody excited for your show. Most people don't know who Minoru Suzuki is. They don't care. So at this rate, you realize that Tony Khan's not playing to win. He's playing defense, right? He's just trying to keep his audience and satiate his audience so that his audience does not watch NXT. That's what he was trying to do here on this episode. And I think he did a good job of it. If you're an AEW fan, you had no reason to turn to NXT. You know, there were some lows here, but there was nobody on this show that was going to piss you off outside of Juice Robinson and make you change the channel. No Kip Sabian, no Iron Savages, no Butcher and the Blade, nothing like that. Nothing awful, right? Nothing that was going to be people repellent outside of Juice Robinson talking. But ultimately, I think they'll probably win the 18-49. So they might have a slight advantage in the 18-49. So I will say that. They'll probably take that as a victory, but they're probably going to get stomped on the overall viewership. So let's talk about this show. Let's start with news and notes. Happy birthday to Tony Khan. He turned 41 on this date. So that was very nice of him. And he announced that he is going to have the largest toy giveaway of all time in December. 1 million toys he's going to give away. Genuinely good stuff for Tony Khan. Very nice. I could be smart ass and say, well, you're probably going to give them away because you couldn't sell them. But I'm not going to tell a guy who's going to give away $1 million worth of toys and action figures that he's a bad person or take it any cynical way. It's a good thing. You know, keep doing good stuff, Tony. Babyface yourself, because he did a lot of healing over the last couple of days, a lot of cheap shots at Vince and Triple H and Shawn Michaels and stuff, and generally being delusional. And this is one of the things that I also mentioned in my video about AEW being cold. And I questioned putting it out because in some ways I was like, I wanted to wait until the results of this thing and not go into, AEW's cold, bro, and then they end up winning the viewership or whatever. But I figured it didn't matter, you know, because the critiques are coming out about Tony Khan, and he is still in denial, you know. Again, the empty arenas, the empty seats, It's how can he still be in denial? The very first thing I said in that video is that you have to admit that there is a problem. I get it. You don't want to tell people that, oh man, we need to turn things around. We need to work on some stuff. Like, there's positive criticism that you could do towards yourself where you could say, man, things could always be better, but we have these opportunities opening up. He's just flat out denying that there's a problem. He says, and he said on a Dan Le Batard show, the perception is very strong for AEW worldwide. 44 days ago, we set the all-time record for ticket sales for any wrestling show ever in the history of the planet. We're having a very good year. Our pay-per-view numbers are through the roof, and we're going to have a great show tonight on TBS. The fans are behind what we're doing. People are mobilized behind this lineup. I've seen more positive momentum and positive feedback about AEW in the last 24 hours than I have in several weeks. And that's saying a lot because we've had a lot of huge shows in the last several weeks. He's delusional. He's delusional. Again, the buildings have been empty. Toni, I get it. I get how he pivoted to worldwide. Oh yeah, everything's going great worldwide. We're getting top views in Canada. People in the UK love us. Okay. But when you turn around here and you go in front of Toledo, Ohio, and 2/3 of the building is empty, again, 60% of the... I don't care about Wembley anymore. I mean, he said Wembley was 44 days ago. I thought it was longer than that because there have been more empty buildings on Collision and Dynamite since then. And then that number got blown up because it wasn't even the number that you told us it was. So I'm looking at Toni and saying, man, step one would be to say, you know what? I see why everybody would say that because they see a lot of empty seats. They see the energy is not always there, but we're working on it. We're going to try some different things here. We have all these new opportunities. We got new talent coming up. We got new feuds coming up. We got all this different stuff, all these reasons for people to get excited about Dynamite. Instead, he's just kind of like, well, we're doing great. Where pay-per-view numbers are through the roof. We weren't going to tell you what it is, but it's through the roof. It's like, okay, we have the evidence of our eyes, Toni, and we see empty seats. Every 18 inches, there are no booties. No booties. No booties, no butts. The seats are empty, sir. So, and then we see that the ticket prices dropped down to like $10. And then this allowed them to have a surge at the last minute. So I think they finally got over 3,000 seats sold when the tickets dropped down to like $10. I don't know if it's a pricing issue where he's trying to juice the people who do come to the show. I don't know. But I will say this. If he's still in denial, he's not going to fix the problem. He needs to fix this issue. And the first things first, you got to admit that there is a problem that needs to be fixed. And until he does that, it's just going to continue to go on and on and on. So another one of the things that I mentioned is that, I said it before, pandering to the niche audience. Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki. It's exactly what you thought it would be. Here's the crazy thing. Commentary is talking about these are two of the most famous strikers in the business. Then they proceed to chop each other in the chest and have the worst chop match. These two guys, man. What the fuck? Really, this match sucked. I'm tired of giving people credit just because they do chops. This match sucked, bro. All they did was chop, 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 chop. And then somebody stumbled over. They chopped and stumbled over each other for over 10 minutes. This made me so mad I couldn't wait for NXT to start. Like, literally, this had the opposite effect. Where I watched this match and couldn't wait to see NXT. It wasn't like I was going to watch this and be like, oh man, AEW, oh my goodness, it's going to be fire, bro. I watched this, it was like, oh my God, I cannot wait for NXT. This is terrible, all right? So it was what it was. On the buy-in, that's when they announced that Jon Moxley could not perform and they were going to replace him with Orange Cassidy. I was like, okay. So I did watch AEW Dynamite concurrently with NXT because I had my tablet there. So when NXT was on commercial or if something else was happening, I was watching Dynamite too. So it was kind of a split attention kind of thing, but I think I did good enough to be able to talk about Dynamite. And plus, I don't like Dynamite's commentary anyway, so I didn't get to hear a lot of the commentary. But Christian Cage started the show by saying that he was willing to fight Swerve because Swerve lost the match at Wembley for them. And a little birdie, which is Bryan Danielson's daughter's name, told him that he thinks he's the best technical wrestler, but the TNT Championship says otherwise, and that his right hand of destruction is going to destroy the rated R superstar. I was like, okay. He said that he is the reason that the first 30 minutes of the show is ad-free until one of these assholes needs to start the show. So Christian is the guy that they feel comfortable with leading into the show. They let him use a little blue language to try to, of course, let people know this is a more mature product here. And they teased everybody that he was going to answer Edge's plea later in the show. So if you were considering whether you were going to watch NXT or not, they said, hey, don't turn to NXT because you want to know what's going to go on between Christian and Edge. So watch that for later. And then they brought Christian out right before the match started to cut the promo. On the subject of Luchasaurus and Nick Wayne turning on him, Christian says, you tried to be a leader. I am their father. He said that he didn't take a ragtag group of miscreants, dress them in black, and had them believing that they're tough. He says that he's more than a leader to these people. Then he says he found it funny that Edge wants to be tag team partners after all these years. Where was this sentiment years ago when I was being held back despite the fact that I was the much better performer and you were being pushed to the moon? Why didn't you want to be a tag team then? He continues by saying that Edge's career is on the downslope while his is on the upswing. He don't need Edge. Edge needs him. And then he starts going into the personals by saying that he's got a lot of fans and he knows that Beth is a fan of his. And after Luchasaurus gets done with him, Lyric and Ruby are going to be well taken care of. So he told Beth Phoenix to put new sheets on the bed. Bro. He told that man's wife to put new sheets on the bed. Well, that guy is disrespectful. Holy shit. So Edge being a dumbass ran out there. I don't know if Luchasaurus kicked him in the head or Nick Wayne hit him in the head or whatever. But then they started doing this whole thing where Edge was selling his neck and they did the whole he had to fight from underneath kind of thing. I was not interested in Edge wrestling Luchasaurus. I didn't care. I didn't care at all. I saw Edge do the spot where he ran off the top of the steps. I thought that was neat. For a guy his age to be coming up with stuff like that. That was very neat. Edge won the match because Christian tried to cheat. He was on commentary. He was going to blast Edge in the back of the head with the belt, but he got caught. Edge snatched the belt, the TNT title, from Christian. Then he hit Luchasaurus in the head. Then threw the belt back to Christian. Christian caught it. When Luchasaurus turned around, Christian had the belt. Luchasaurus being an idiot, big dumb idiot, think Christian hit him. And he's like, and he gets speared and pinned. Great fucking job, Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus sucks, all right? I don't want to talk about this guy. Then, after this, we basically get a giant brouhaha where some of everybody from every corner of the roster is in the ring fighting. You got Tonga Leona and Khan and Hangman Page and some of everybody's out there. And I know it's the sum of the entire show, like all of the various people who have been wrestling earlier and all this kind of stuff. But I just felt like it's chaotic. It's people literally everywhere, seemingly for no reason, you know? And it was not my favorite. Easily, I can say not my favorite. And Edge wins his first match, which was obvious. The extra 10 minutes was basically stretching out this match and the fight scene at the end, which I think is a waste of their 10 minutes, if we're being honest. It is what it is. I'm not even going to complain too much. It just is what it is. Match 1, Swerve versus Danielson. Danielson wins with the Busaiku knee. Good match from what I watched. It was very solid. The match was like 20 minutes. So they used their 30 minutes of commercial free to push this one match. And then they did some stuff afterwards. The finish. Prince Nana left his crown or his head wrap or whatever it is at ringside. Apparently it's got metal pieces in it or something. So Swerve was going to hit Danielson with it. Hangman Page came out and swiped it from him. That led to a little bit of a distraction. And then ultimately the Busaiku knee led to the finish. So Swerve loses to Danielson. Another one of the things that I mentioned in my AEW was Cold video is that they needed to push new stars. This was an opportunity to put Swerve over. I know Christian and Danielson on Collision probably would be a bigger draw, but you needed to get Swerve over. Swerve should have won this match. Not just because I'm a fan of Swerve, because I'm a fan of Danielson too. And I'm a bigger fan of Danielson than I am of Swerve. You needed to get Swerve over. What do you have for him? What did you have for him? You got to do something to get this guy over. So Swerve lost for apparently no goddamn reason. And so Danielson's going to wrestle Christian for the TNT title, which was the reason why he was involved with the big brawl at the end. Jesus Christ. Next, Samoa Joe vignette. It was fantastic because Samoa Joe rules. And apparently he still wants to be the world champion. Excellent. Really good stuff here. Second match, Powerhouse Hobbs completely destroys Chris Jericho. My only problem with this is that he had to do too much. So, he had to do too much. All right, so Powerhouse Hobbs comes out with Don Callis. No singlet for Powerhouse Hobbs. They changed his look. They got rid of the singlet, so now he's just wearing trunks. And he starts spamming spine busters. He spine busted him like 22 times. I mean, really, in reality, it was probably about 6. But the spine buster is his finisher. It's his finish. He shouldn't have needed to use it that many times. And then after the third one, Jericho was still fighting back and hitting big moves and stuff. I was like, come on, you're killing this kid's finish here. So after 3 spine busters, it ended up being Jericho fought back. He hit 3 more. Jericho, I guess, fought back again. Then he hit 2 World's Strongest Slams, which is Mark Henry's finish. And then he pinned him. So that's his new finish, is the World's Strongest Slam. I like the spine buster better. But I don't know, maybe it's easier for him if he's going to be wrestling bigger people. But the spine buster should be easy for Hobbs. Look at me, he's a big dude. So it was a complete destruction of Chris Jericho. It was great, actually. Jericho, again, I'll never stop saying it. He is one of the most unselfish main event guys. I know that people like Cornette, they hate Chris Jericho, and they think Jericho's always trying to snake and find his way over. It's like nobody outside of Mick Foley has ever did more jobs as a main event guy as Chris Jericho. This guy is willing to help anybody. He saw that Hobbs needed this. He gave it to him. Jericho does not lose anything. This was great. Only problem I got is maybe too many spine busters for that to be his finish. But that's my only complaint. Powerhouse Hobbs wins. They did a storyline where Jericho had to go to the hospital. But before that, 2.0 and Daniel Garcia went to check on him. Well, Daniel Garcia went to check on him. And 2.0 was very upset about this. I don't care about those guys. But at least they're telling the story that somebody still cares about Jericho from the Jericho Appreciation Society. All right, so nobody wanted to see Jericho like this. Despite the fact that they don't support him anymore, they don't quote unquote appreciate him anymore. Nobody wanted to see him get destroyed by this guy, you know. So we got Hobbs on the path of destruction. It started him off strong with Jericho. Let's see if he maintains it. Let's see what happens after this. You know, because he got me very excited right now, but let's see what happens afterwards. All right, so Adam Cole, he's been living with Roderick Strong, apparently. He said he's been there for a week, and he's still wearing the same clothes. Okay. Roderick Strong needs him to cut his grass. So Adam Cole did it. And then he says, I need to get out of here. I need to go have this double surgery. And plus, my clothes reek. I've been here for a week. And so they said, oh, no, we got a surprise for you in the house. And then they gave him a Roderick Strong Neck Strong shirt. They talk about how great his shirt is and all this stuff. And then Adam Cole finally asked the $1 million question, what is up with Matt Taven in this giraffe? So then, of course, Matt Taven's response is, what's the next strongest animal in the entire world? The giraffe. Have you ever seen a giraffe fight? I've seen giraffes fight. It's honestly, it looks very violent. And it looks like it hurts. How they use their whole neck as a weapon, that's crazy. But him doing the neck strong thing was silly. Then Adam Cole wants to know why there is no cell phone service where he is. And why doesn't he have a TV? And I don't know what he said about the cell phone service, but when Roderick Strong started talking about TV being the devil, I fucking died laughing, bro. I don't even know what was going on NXT at the time. I just started laughing. Television is the devil, Adam. I'm like, oh shit. Oh, that was great. That was great. So Adam Cole is finally trying to get out of there. And Roderick Strong was like, wait a minute. I got one more thing I need for you to do. And then Adam Cole was like, oh my God. But apparently he didn't leave. So I love this. This neck strong stuff is great. This got to be the most entertaining that Roderick Strong has ever been in his life. He learned something from WWE. Oh, finally, I can say somebody from the independents left, but they learned something. And it was Roderick Strong, of all people. My goodness. The importance of character. Jeez Louise. I love it. Third match on the show. Orange Cassidy versus Phoenix for the international title. Orange Cassidy won the belt back. This seems to be... It's upsetting to some people. They like Phoenix. And they like, look, Phoenix really didn't even get started. Now we're hot potatoing the belt back and forth. Most people are smart enough, they realize that Phoenix was never supposed to have the belt in the first place. And that probably he was going to lose that match to Moxley if he hadn't knocked Moxley out at some point. So basically they're saying, okay, we're going to reset everything. We're going to go back to Orange Cassidy. Phoenix was never supposed to be the champion in the first place, but he got it. We gave him a couple of wins, give him a little bit of momentum, and then we have Orange Cassidy cut it off. All right, I understand that. I still think we should have been somebody else. You know, for starters, I think it was more interesting for Orange Cassidy in the position of him kind of being sort of depressed about not being the champion anymore, rather than immediate gratification. We need to pop a number. Let's throw the belt on him right now. Sure, Phoenix shouldn't have been the champion, but you put the belt on somebody else if that's going to be the case. If you don't want him to be the champion, you find somebody like Swerve who needed it and you put it on them instead. But I don't necessarily like the decision because I don't like Orange Cassidy. But I don't hate the decision either because I don't like that belt. I don't care about that belt. And Phoenix is a guy that they've been start pushing the whole time anyway. And they were never going to get behind it because he was never supposed to win the belt. So they just worked their way out of it. You know, so not that big a surprise to me. Didn't bother me none. All right. Thomas Toni Storm. They decided to go to commercial during her short film that she made, which was a silent movie. And I'm going to say this was a miss. I'm going to say it was a miss because part of what makes Toni Storm work is when she can talk and she can do things, and her being sort of nutty. And yes, her being a silent movie star is kind of nutty. You know, the stuff she was doing in the vignette, you know, was kind of nuts. But you're trying to figure out what the hell the movie is about, and they posted it on Twitter because they went to commercial during it, and I felt like that was very disrespectful to her, especially somebody they were pushing. But they put it on Twitter, and I got to watch the whole thing. So in part one, I thought she was dancing at first because that's what it looked like, and she was like moving her arms, and I was like, "This is very bad Taylor Swift, Britney Spears level dancing. This sucks." But then when you watch it, like I watched it on Twitter, I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's clearly." She's like looking at her watch and trying to hail down a cab. Like she's trying to get somewhere. All right. But it's like now we're playing charades. I'm trying to guess what she's doing in this thing. And I'm like, she's just in her hotel room or in her house or whatever, you know, acting out these scenes. And I can't put a finger on what the fuck is going on. So I'm like, all right. Shrug, you know, like how much energy and time do you want me to put towards this? You know, the second one was even more weird because she goes from seducing the camera, and I'm talking, she's doing a good job of it. Okay. She takes that shiny thing she's wearing, she slips that thing on off, and she starts putting them gams up on the table. I'm like, brother. And then she does like some really bad kissing and this kind of stuff. Then she gets offended and she starts slapping, and she even throws a headbutt before she goes back to trying to seduce the camera. So she was doing something that's probably some kind of, it's called Lover's Lament, part 1 and 2. So I guess that she was on running for a date or something like that in the first one, and she had to hop in a car and drive herself because she couldn't get a cab. And then I guess she had gotten there and she had met her lover in the room or whatever. She was trying to seduce him, and then he got into it, and, you know, they fought, and then she forgave him and wanted to kiss him again. I don't know. I was like, look, we need to be a little bit more simpler than this. Let's not get too complicated. All right. The character works. Let's not overthink it. All right, match 4. Wardlow destroys Matt Sydal. He says nothing, does nothing, just breaks Matt Sydal in half. The referee stops it after multiple power bombs. Okay, sure, that works. This has got to be going somewhere, right? Eventually, I would imagine you would try to talk about it, or at least somebody should talk. Somebody should mention that this guy's putting people in the hospital. You know, it's the second guy. You know. Next, Hangman Page versus Jay White. Jay White wins the match, but I was deeply perturbed by the Bang Bang Gang, or the Gang Gang Bang, as Renee Paquette called them on the pre-show, coming out on tricycles. And I didn't get it. I didn't get what this was about and why they even had tricycles. Is it because they're kindergartners? I didn't get it. All right, so Jay White wins the match with a little help from Prince Nana, because Hangman got in Prince Nana's business, so Prince Nana got into Hangman's business, and Jay White rolled him up and pinned him. Okay. This match was very long, and it seemed to be very detailed, and I know a lot of people are very, very excited for this match, and they thought the match was some guy even called it a Wrestle Kingdom main event. I say, bro, this match was for no reason. It's too long, you know? Nothing gained, nothing lost. This match should have been shorter. But whatever. I mean, again, Tony Khan's playing defense. He saw this as an opportunity to put on a really good match. You already had a really good match on this show with Swerve and Danielson. You didn't need to have another 15, 20-minute match on this show. You just didn't need another one. But he did it anyway, so I mean, it is what it is. You're not going to go wrong. These two perfectly serviceable performers, but you have to be into them already in order to sit and watch this, you know? And it is what it is. I think watching it in clips and bits and dips that I actually did, I got enough of the match, I think. I don't think I need to sit through the whole thing all over again. All right, so afterwards, Jay White got on the microphone because MJF came out there. MJF accepted Jay White's challenge for Full Gear. Then said that he knows that Jay White is just using the Bullet Club Gold because it's right out of the MJF playbook. It's something that he has done in the past. The difference between the two is that he looks in the mirror and he tries to be a better man. And every day is proven right because he's earned the people's respect. And that the Triple B is not a belt. It is his legacy. So he wants it back. He's demanding that Jay White give it back to him. Jay White says, well, no, you have to win it. You're right. This is a legacy. This is a championship belt. You have to win it officially. You have to beat me for it. Then he says that he will give it to him if he can beat him, being MJF, can beat him and his team. So he has to find some partners. Then we get the Juice Robinson promo where he starts talking about the Dynamite Diamond Battle Royal and how he's going to win it. And now he's got a roll of quarters, $10 in quarters, with MJF's name on it. And MJF spazzed out and said, if you come anywhere near me with these quarters, I'm going to have your life. And I was like, wow, that's very dramatic. People have mixed emotions on this thing because of all the stuff going on in Israel. They're like, a Jewish wrestler is being threatened to be punched with money. This isn't right. This is horrible. This is poor timing. They shouldn't have done this. And here's my thing. Who is the Jew in this situation? MJF. If he's okay with it, I can't complain about it. So it is what it is. It's not a Jewish thing anyway. It is an MJF thing. It was a thing where he talked about being bullied and had people throwing quarters at him. So to him, it's a trigger. And that was the point of Juice Robinson bringing it up. He didn't bring it up because MJF is Jewish. He brought it up because MJF personally is offended by the quarters and all the stuff that and what that means and what that entails. I know there was a fan when they were in Long Island a couple of weeks ago who had a sign that says, "Hey MJF, I dropped some quarters." And that guy, apparently they kicked him out of the building or something like that because he's an anti-Semite. Even though he also was playing on the storyline of MJF and the quarters. So MJF started this storyline where people taunt him with quarters. If this is an anti-Semitic situation, fucking MJF started it. So why are we caping for it if he started it? He's the Jew. If he's not offended, then I can't be offended for him. Look, PWG, there was a guy there who wanted guys like Kevin Owens and Excalibur to call him a nigger and all this kind of stuff. And they said it and he let it ride. He's black. He was their friend. He wanted to use that word to get heat. And he's the guy in the situation. Do I agree? No. Do I care? No. My ears are not going to burn because some white guy used that word. If his black friends told him, look, in this context, go for it because this is what we're trying to achieve. We're working together on this. Then there's no difference than if he just said it in a movie. You know, who cares? I'm pretty sure Juice Robinson is not anti-Israel or an anti-Semite or anything like that. He's working with MJF. It's a work. All right? Get over it. People being so damn sensitive. Okay, I get it. But no. MJF is the Jew. He's in control here. Let him handle it. If you are a Jew and you're offended, take it up with MJF, being the guy who let this happen. All right? Because that's how some black people are. You let your white friends call you nigger? Blah, blah, blah. You know? That's the right way to put it. I'm offended, but you gave him the pass. So I'm going to come to you as the one who gave away the pass to see why you did that. Why did you make that decision? You know, I can't get mad at him for he's in your friend group. Just like if you hang out with white friends and he's singing rap songs and he says the nigga word because it's in the rap song and you don't care. It is what it is. Like when Eminem got busted saying it, I looked at D12. I'm like, everyone he's cool with everybody. So apparently they all know him. They know he ain't a racist. So what can I say except for, hey, watch yourself when it comes to that word. Otherwise, I'm never going to sit in a room with Eminem. I don't care about that. That's like I'm not ever going to sit in a room with Juice Robinson. I don't care about him, punching MJF with a roll of quarters. I don't look at it as a situation where he was going out of his way to be offensive. I think that different friend groups and different businesses approach different subjects in different ways. And in certain contexts, these things can be approached. These kings can be broached. And in this context, MJF as a character has already said this is a trigger for him, not because he's Jewish, but because of him personally. Now, if he would have said it's because he's Jewish, and I think Jew Boy was a part of the angle in that situation, then maybe you can question it. But then again, you question MJF. You don't question Juice Robinson. Because Juice Robinson ain't doing nothing that MJF didn't already say that he can do. You want to blame Tony Khan for it? I wouldn't do that either. Tony Khan, yes, could have said, no, don't do that. It's probably not the right thing to do. But he's going to go with the talent. The talent feels comfortable with it. Go for it. So I'm not going to trip on that. I think other people should stop tripping too. They're just looking for a reason to be offended. Stop it. Next, Saraya versus Hikaru Shida. The match that I'll probably watch the least of in this entire show. And I was shocked to see this Hikaru Shida won. I was like, okie doke. Okie dokie. All right. It is what it is. Ruby Soho came out there with a spray can trying to spray Hikaru Shida. Shida reversed the measure and ended up spraying Ruby Soho in the face. Then Toni Storm came out there and whipped Ruby Soho with her shoe. I thought Toni Storm was a heel. Apparently she's a babyface. I don't know. I don't think they figured that part out yet. In any event, Ruby Soho's interference didn't work out. And Hikaru Shida ends up winning the women's championship. There's confetti all over the place. She's the first ever 3-time AEW women's champion. Good. I like Shida. She hasn't had a great run yet, but I like Shida. Saraya sucks, and she's limited. So taking the belt off of her was probably the right thing to do. Now, earlier in the night, Tony Khan announced that he had an announcement that he was going to make. And I thought he was going to make this announcement on television. I think most of us thought he was going to make it on television. And it was shortly before the women's title match, maybe like a few minutes before, I think. At least when I saw it. Maybe it was before that. But I thought, foolish me, that he was going to finally announce that Mercedes Moné was going to come to this roster. And he was going to do so after Saraya won the match. Or after Shida won the match. And it turns out that it was the toys giveaway or whatever. Okay. Kind of a weird thing to do, to announce your announcement and then it's just some goodwill stuff. Okay, but it felt like there was something more to this. And of course, Saraya winning the title, everybody assumed that she won the title because Mercedes wants to wrestle Saraya. And that's why we keep talking about it. And that was the purpose of Saraya being the champion, is that so Mercedes could win it from her. And apparently that's not the case. Apparently Hikaru Shida is probably going to be the one to drop it to her. I'm never going to get off of this until she actually shows up. Because you just know what's happening. You just know what's coming. She was posting vague, by she I mean Mercedes Moné was posting interesting tweets over the weekend. As WWE and AEW were heating up their "Can you top this?" and we're going to go 30 minutes early. And we're going to go 30 minutes free. We're going to go 30 minutes free. she's posting stuff about what, with big racks of money and, money is calling, do you answer, all this kind of stuff. So I felt like, okay, they were teasing it. But then nothing. And I guess that was the plan, is to tease and tease and tease and then don't deliver it. So, whatever. Don Callis said he had something to say, but they wouldn't give him the time to do it, so he did the Sammy Guevara card gimmick. I didn't take the time to read it. I don't care. MJF, very upset. I forgot about this. He called Adam Cole to get advice about what's going on, and plus he needed a partner to fight the Bang Bang Gang. So Adam Cole says, oh yeah, I'm with Roderick Strong. I'm still here. So he's like, look, bro, I need help. And Adam Cole can't talk to him because there's bad cell phone service at Rod's place or whatever. And so MJF gets frustrated. And then all of a sudden, creepy Max Caster shows up and volunteered for the Acclaimed to team up with MJF. And MJF is kind of weirded out, but I think he really doesn't have much of a choice. So Billy Gunn wants to know what's up with Max Caster. For starters, who told him that he could hire them out? Which is a good question. Like, you offer our services to MJF. Who the hell are you? And second, why are you fixated on this guy? And so Max Caster says, oh yeah, we started in the business together 10 years ago. I've known this guy for 10 years. We're friends. We're friends. It still is doused in homoeroticism. And MJF is still very weirded out. And it's pretty clear that they're trying to do the gay thing, where they want MJF to scissor with Max Caster. This is not how men conduct business. I hate this. I hate it. I don't like it. It's too LGBTQIA for me. I don't like it. Sorry. I'm old. This is not how we conduct business. I know when guys who say, we got 2 words for you, but they were never like thirst trapping each other and that kind of stuff. It was meant as a sign of disrespect. Telling somebody to suck it was meant to be disrespectful. It was supposed to be fighting words. It wasn't like suck it and I weirdly enjoy it. Like, come on. This whole scissoring thing is meant to go on a sexual route. And it's not cool, So I'm just like, ugh. It doesn't feel cool. Again, it feels like something that is niche, that only a certain subsection of the audience is really going to enjoy. I know there's going to be the AEW fan base is going to be very, very excited when they finally scissor and they become friends. But everybody else is going to be like, why are these grown men acting this way? And I'm in that camp. These are grown men. They're young guys. Neither one of them is 30. But for Christ's sake, at least I don't think Matt Caster is 30. I would hate to him be like 32 or 33 acting like this. But it's very weird to me. So I don't enjoy it. In terms of wrestling on this show, Dynamite greatly superior to NXT. Because NXT is NXT, and most of the people who wrestled on the show were fairly new, which is what everybody expected. But in terms of angles, in terms of setting up for the future, I don't think Dynamite did a great job. If you watched this instead of NXT because you wanted to watch this and you were going to watch it anyway, but did they give you anything to bring you back next week? I don't know. It depends. Did you really care about the Edge and Christian interaction on this show, which is the A story for the program, is Edge and Christian right now? Christian was very good. He was awesome. But Luchasaurus sucks, and nobody wants to watch him. So, I don't know. And outside of that, I guess Jericho, if you're concerned about Jericho and, getting his shit kicked in, that could have been great. That could be interesting. Samoa Joe, if you're a big fan of him, that could be interesting too. So, but there's nothing that really I absolutely have to see how this works out. And that's what they needed. Even if you can't get more people to watch the show. You could at least get more people to talk about the show by having more stuff on the show that leads people to watch it next week. And I feel like that's been a weakness of Dynamite for a long time, is they try to have these pay-per-view quality shows with these pay-per-view quality matches, and it just leads to you not watching the next week because you don't need to. It's just matches building on top of each other. There's no angles. There's no heat. There's no water cooler discussion. There's nothing much for people to talk about. There's plenty of stuff for people to gush about, because that's what, AEW fans do. They gush about a lot of things. But the water cooler discussion is what drove the Monday Night Wars. What's going to happen here? What could happen here? That's what drives the dirt sheets. That's what drives the YouTubers. That's what drives, people who talk about wrestling. And they try to look at all the different angles and ways things can go. When you don't engage in a lot of that, and it's just match after match, long match after long match, then people just kind of be like, oh, okay, so you're doing this now. Okay, cool. And so what is there more to talk about? It's not that much to get into at that point. But as an in-ring show, it was far superior to NXT. So if you care more about the in-ring stuff, then yeah, it was better than NXT in terms of in-ring product. This was actually a down week for NXT in terms of in-ring product because of so much accoutrement that they had around. Things that were in the way, like, special guest referees and shit. But it's probably not going to do that great in the numbers, but it'll probably do fine in the 18 to 49. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.